All right, welcome back to another episode, Full Fledged Podcast. We're just gonna pick up right where we left off in the last episode. We haven't changed clothes or anything, so it's been 1 week for the listeners, but about 1 minute for us. So we're gonna keep on the stories of upland birds and pheasants and dogs and stuff like that. So yeah. So talking about dogs, you mentioned the ones that I remember having, and I'm pretty sure that's the only ones we've ever had, but you want to share what dogs you've had, and I guess what dogs you've been a part of, including mine,
Yeah.
as far as hunting dogs. I know you said you grew up with Boston Terriers, but what dogs you've had, like hunting dogs and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hunting dogs. I've always been a black lab guy. Um, uh, why? I don't know. I think it was attractive to us. I always liked the eyes and the look of them, and I think your mom and I were both kind of on the same page when we first started talking about a dog. Our first year of marriage, actually. We just kind of always went with that, and that's where we're still at, and we thoroughly enjoy them, and they've been great family members. We look at our dogs as obviously hunting companions, and now I have a lot of friends in the bird dog business that their dogs, and some of them have multiple dogs, and when I say multiple, it could be in the teens, some of them 20s. With some of the friends that I have that actually run kennels and train dogs and do stuff. And our dogs have always been family members. They stay in the house. If they want to sleep on the bed, they jump up on the bed with us. More times than not, they end up on the floor. But if we're going to an event, if we're going to a hunt or one of the competitive shoots that we're doing with Maverick now, they'll ride in the truck, in the cab with me. Once we get there, then they kennel them just for the safety of it and the ease of getting them in and out, getting them to the field and doing things. But so we've had 3 black labs. We're on our 3rd one. Jake growing up was our very first one, and that was the stories of we never did electronics, never did anything like that. And then I thought, well, Jake was a good hunting dog, so when we got Shaylee, we picked up a female. I'd never had a female dog before. And you were with us when we picked up Shaylee. We were at the sportsman show there, the International Sportsman Show in Denver. And usually it works out that when I lose your mom in one of those shows, I end up buying something that's one time we got a couple jet skis, and we didn't even jet ski. Well, it was something we had to have. We got separated, and by the time I found her, she had found Shaylee, this little, I think she was probably 10 weeks old, maybe 12 weeks, whatever it was. And she was there at the show, and I think all 3 of you guys were loving on her and holding her and passing her back and forth. And here I was looking for a caribou hunt or a fishing trip or something, come around the corner and end up going home 2.5 hours later with a black lab puppy. So and it worked out. She ended up being a great dog. She was really good for Jake. He was on his down stretch. He was getting up there in age. I think he ended up, your mom would know for sure, but I think he's 14 years old. And which for lab is a heck of a life. And, Shaylee, I think, probably extended that life for him, a little puppy with an older fella and kind of rejuvenated him a little bit and lasted. And then, we had to put him down, and then it was just Shaylee. And Shaylee was very close. She had separation anxiety with me. Whenever I would leave her, she would go haywire. She'd just go nuts. When hunting wise, she was always a good retriever, good flusher. Just was a little bit cautious. Didn't like to range very far. I always got to know where my dad is. It might be a pheasant, but got to know where dad is. And we hunted probably till she was 7. And then just kind of, she was a smaller dog. She was a shorter, Jake was a big male, big tall male. He was probably pushing 95. He was big, heavy, broad chested, thick head, lab. And Shaylee, she was shorter, smaller, female. But like I said, she hunted really well, did really good on the wild birds. Would just not a lot of endurance. Didn't travel a lot. Didn't stay out for long runs. And then we'd have her at the marina, and when we go for the summer, and I would leave and go down and visit somebody down at the other end of the marina, and she would stay with Mom and you guys, and pretty soon I'd be sitting there, and pretty soon they're petting on a black lab, and look over, that's Shaylee. She found me. She'd escape being in our trailer and come in, but that's just the kind of girl that she was. And then she ended up, we had to put her down. She ended up going 15, which another great long life for a lab. And Jake, he had some issues with his hips and joints and stuff being that big. It was a tough go for him towards the end. And Shaylee's tough go. She was kind of a countertop dog. She got into some food that she probably shouldn't have gotten into. And anyway, she pancreatitis, I believe, pretty good. And just got to the point where she just couldn't get on anymore. Then moved up here to Wyoming and thought, well, we're done. Mom and I, we're gonna travel, and if I gotta hunt, if we're gonna go bird hunting and such, I got plenty of friends that have dogs. I don't need another dog. We can travel and go wherever we want to go and not have to worry about what we're gonna do with the dog. And yeah, that lasted for about 2 months, and got up here. And a good friend of ours, Mike Pyle, got me into bird dogging with the National Bird Dog Circuit, and I was traveling judging runs, and then lo and behold, I don't think I made it half the way through my first year of judging, and we were judging down in Cheyenne, Hereford there, and I was in the blind, waiting for the next run with the hunter while they were setting birds, and he said, well, when are you going to get into this? You're just judging. When are you going to get into running? We talked about you hunting birds all the time, and you can do that. I said, well, I don't have a dog, and that's I don't think. He's, well, I just had a litter, and I think we got about 6 dogs left. I thought, oh, really? Well, that'd be kind of cool. They are fun. And I said, but we're looking for black ones, and he had already told me earlier in the conversation that he had a couple whites, and I knew your mom wouldn't go for that. Well, anyway, so we got a black and already spoken for, and it's going out, next week, and blah, blah, blah. So we go out, we do this run and he was in the blind because the hunter prior to the run has to be in there so he can't watch the run in front of his to know if there's a leftover bird or if there's a missed bird or any types of advantage. So he stays in the trailer for the blind, and I go out with the hunter that it was in the field and come back, and your mother's sitting in the blind with him. And they're just sitting there in 2 different lawn chairs and talking and going away, talking about this and that. And I kept hearing about this black lab puppy. I thought, well, yeah, he's probably telling her about the one black lab that he had that was already spoken for. Well, we ended up getting done with that hunt, and we're heading back to town, and your mom says, why don't we stop by Dan Cathcart's and see the black lab puppy that he has? I said, well, I don't even want to do that. We're just going to tease. We're going to get, like, we want to get a dog again, and all you got is white. Oh, no, he told me he's got a black for me. I said, what? Gosh darn it, Cathcart. He didn't have a black one. Well, ended up, he had a black one that was a guy had been on a wait list for about 6 years, and they really wanted to get it to this guy, and ended up they weren't getting a hold of him. I don't even know what the story was. Anyway, we ended up bringing Maverick. Well, we put a deposit down on Maverick, the black lab we have now, and picked him up right around Christmas time. And we've had him up here, and I've been bird dogging with him, and he's really he just loves to hunt, and he just loves to, just like Shaylee, or just like Virgo with you. I mean,
Yeah.
do anything for that bird to bring back to you and make you proud, and wants to, wants to do the best that they can for you. And it's just fun. I get overwhelmed. Probably the hardest part for me in the bird dog tournament world is I get wrapped up into watching how good Maverick is. So we start tournament hunting. Some of the listeners might not know exactly what it is. You might be able to think you do, but until you get out and experience, it's how fast you can kill 5 birds clean without missing with a clean retrieve. Can't move. You got to bring bird in hand. Just different rules, and all this is going on, but I get wrapped up into watching how good my dog is, and next thing you know, I get wrapped up in wait on a shot and maybe even miss a shot just because I'm watching him flush it and just working so hard, jumping up, catching birds out of the air, and just get wrapped into it. Where now we've been doing it. He's 5. We've been bird dogging for about 4.5 years. I got him started early. Did all the training myself. Do have an e-collar now, because you definitely, I've learned that it's not all bad for him, and it's actually a good tool. For those, not necessarily when they get lost in the cornfield, but if they get out there too far and they lose you. We hunt here in Glendale. We hunt in willows when the water's down and it's all planted birds. They'll come in twice a week and plant birds, and then you can go out and it's wild bird hunting, except they're planted.
Yeah. They're pen raised, but they still act wild.
Yeah. And, we'll go into willows where I'll cut him loose and it'll just be he and I. And we'll go 10 minutes. I won't know where he's at. I'll hear birds get up, but the willows are 10, 12 feet tall in places, and I couldn't even shoot. So now what we've done is I've gotten to the point where he's gotten so good that he'll go out and fairly range close enough that, and I don't know how he does it. I don't know how we've worked it out, but he's getting to the point where I call it reverse bird dogging. He'll get out there and go almost around and just get on a scent and work them and kind of corral them back to me like a cow dog would do with cattle. And there's times we'll be out there for a half hour and we'll be back home with our 3 roosters or 3 pheasants. You can shoot either or.
Yeah.
Times that now we're just going to shoot roosters today, and we'll stay out there for an hour or hour and a half and end up with our 3 roosters. And it just him and I, and it's just a different, it's just, I would say that there's no doubt in my mind that he's the best hunting dog that I've had. Is that fair to them if I would have done the training and know then what I know now about, how to do some of these things with dogs and, the bird dog circuit, the bird dogging world with what I'm doing is helped me out so much just from listening to some of these other trainers. I know that you've actually followed one of them that we were looking at possibly sending Virgo to when she was first young, when I picked her up for you just to help her out with some training stuff. And some of the things that these guys do with their dogs is just unbelievable. And obviously they're professionals at what they do, and it's expensive to send them to them.
Right.
But if they're not hunting the way you want to when they're done with it, they'll take them back and continue to work. I mean, they're all legitimate, great trainers. More importantly, great people that want those dogs to succeed and want you to be happy with the dog that they've trained for you.
Right.
So yeah, that's we've gone, like I said, we bird hunt here. We've gone to South Dakota a couple times a year. We go out there, with their hunting regulations, you get two 5-day trips that you can take. You can take them back to back for a 10-day, but you had 2 5 days. Well, we use one of them. Matter of fact, the hat that I got, we go out to the ringneck festival.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Ringneck Festival, which is it's a team shoot. It's competitive. It's a contest. You get 6 guys on your team, and each one of you get 4 shells. The limit's 3. Um, the idea is to have good dogs that put up birds close enough for you to shoot, and you're 3 for 3. If you're 3 for 3 and get all your birds, everybody on your team, so you come back with 18 of them, you have a pretty good chance. Our best year, I think 2 years ago, 2 or 3, we got second. And it paid off good. We bought ourselves in the Calcutta, and then we ended up with a shotgun. Each one of us went. So it's, there's some very unique things that pheasant hunting's brought for me. And we went to this last one up there in South Dakota. It was just a fun hunt, and ended up meeting some really good new people. And then Kansas, where I go down deer hunting, we got a lease down there that we can go and bird hunt. Numbers been down there for a little bit, and don't really make it out to Nebraska where I was raised up hunting anymore. But it's just those different experiences in the field and different things with the dogs have been great. I know that you with Virgo has been a different waterfowl hunting. It's definitely different on the dog than bird dogging or upland.
Right.
I traveled. I think I took her to 2 or 3 tournaments just to be around it. And one of them I took out to a world tournament, just to get her kind of involved with other dogs.
Yes.
And they had, we shoot a lot of partridge, chuckers. So we had chuckers and pheasants I could get her on. And some of those trainers would see her and, oh man, that's going to be a great dog, good dog. Well, it's kind of hard for me to train your dog.
Right.
The commands aren't going to be the same. The expectations at the end of the day are probably going to be similar, but probably not right on, the same as what you would want. But I think that it's just a matter of, I just saw a coyote go across the road.
I'm wondering what you're looking at.
No, that's a coyote running across the hill there. Anyway, with what Virgo's doing with the duck hunting and getting her out doing that, and she just loves the water. She comes here, start crying and shivering and shaking, and she knows where that lake is. And if she ever got away here while we were building the house and I didn't have the yard, I knew right where she would be. She'd be right down to the lake. And but yeah, it's been definitely a good time with those dogs, and all the different pheasant hunting trips and things like that have been kicking the pants.
Yeah. I remember. So I guess the story of Virgo, for majority of the listeners probably don't know. So I graduated college and then went off to coach college summer baseball in Iowa. And Virgo, I really wanted a dog really bad. And there was one breeder lined up in Colorado with a black lab male. And then it was supposed to be a black lab male, and litter came out, and there wasn't enough black lab males. I was like very low on the list for males. And so I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to go with it. And so jumped off of that list. And then we have friends out in eastern Colorado that they've always had chocolate labs growing up. And so, love their dogs. And they said, well, the people that we know that we've always got our chocolate labs from, they're out in Nebraska and they just had a litter. Why don't you give her a call? It's like, okay, I do like chocolates, so give her a call. And she's like, oh yeah, that's great. And I said, yeah, so I guess chocolate male would be good. And she goes, oh no, you don't get to choose. I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, you're the second person on the list. The first person gets the best male, and then you get the best dog after that. I said, okay, sounds good. So anyways, longer story shorter, Virgo was chosen for me by the breeder, and mom, dad, and I don't know if Bree went with you guys to pick her up or not, but they were in Wyoming, and so it was just a short drive over to western Nebraska to go pick her up. And so while I was finishing up coaching, they kind of kept kept an eye on her and trained her a little bit. And then, summer was over, came back, lived with mom, dad, and was coaching down in Denver. And, Virgo was mine. And then I got a job opportunity out in Kansas while I was living on a dorm, in a dorm on campus. And so you can't have a dog there. So Virgo stayed with dad for a while. And sometime around that point is when the move up to Wyoming happened. And so it was just dad and Virgo for the longest time. And then I finally was able to move her down with me. And I think that was kind of around the same time where it was like, you said it lasted about 2 months. Well, I think it was that 2 months from when I took Virgo back to when you decided, okay, I think I want a dog again. And that's when Maverick came into it. But you did, in that time where you had Virgo, she had been old enough and trained well enough where she could actually go out and clear fields with you, like you were saying, do a little bit of hunting. And I remember you saying, well, according to some of these guys, she's okay. She's doing fine. And it was like, then like a couple weeks later, another event. Yeah, she's doing better. We tried this thing and she did okay with that. And then, like you said, by the end of it, she did like a couple runs just to clear fields. She didn't compete. And I remember you saying, man, Mike Bile, he's wondering if you're wanting to breed her out. And it's like, well, he's about 6 months too late because we already got her fixed about 6 months ago. So no chance on that. But yeah, so dad got to do quite a bit of hunting with her before I had gotten to do the first couple hunts, ducks and stuff like that. So dad wasn't the first hunts with her, but he got to hunt with her a good bit. And then obviously now she's with me full time, and we do a lot of ducks. There's no pheasant out here, and I haven't really been pressed too hard to go find quail to hunt. So that's really the only upland around here.
Yeah, she definitely likes watching them birds up flying, and she knows where they're at. Her nose is good enough, but she did struggle a little bit, early with those partridges. It's a different scent, I'm sure, than what she was doing. And like I said, those waterfowl dogs, I don't know that much about them, but I do know that most of the time, like Maverick, his nose, the only time it comes up in the air is when he's hunting and he gets a whiff of something. He'll kind of do that and kind of know that there's something coming from that way. Is playing in the wind and doing all that, where, when you're sitting in a blind or in a pit or something like that, that dog's more of a sight dog, sight and retrieve.
Yeah. The one time, Tanner, I think Tanner's told the story on the podcast, but the one time where her nose did not lie one bit, and she didn't see any birds, but that scent got in her nose and she took off. It was the very first time Tanner and I hunted together, and there was this spot where there's public access on one side, and then the same people who owned that public access owned a piece on the other side where they ran planted hunts. And so there were a lot of wild birds, and there were birds that survived those planted hunts and just flew across the road onto that public access spot. Well, we pull up to it, and it was just a perfect day for pheasant. And it's like, all right, they're going to hold tight, hopefully. And, I think they're going to be down in this little bottom where they're out of the wind. It'll be great. Well, it just happened. The wind was blowing right in our face. It's like, all right, it's perfect. Well, it was too perfect because Virgo got that scent. And like you said, she's not a great scent dog, but man, she got that scent and she took off. And I was even buzzing, like vibrate, nothing. Didn't slow her down. I shocked her one good time. She didn't stop. And I looked at Tanner. I said, we got to go if we want a chance. We took off. And man, by that point, she was already 150, 200 yards away. And she flushed up like a sea of pheasants like I had only ever seen like once or twice before. And it was just like, you don't see that very often. And they were explode out of the field and all gone opposite direction of us. It's like, oh man, Virgo. But
yeah, chances are they would have ran out in front of you anyway. That's what it used to be back in the day. I'd get when Jake was always, he would range out there. You needed a dang 30-06 instead of a shotgun. But I'd get upset and disappointed. Well, what people don't realize, them birds are running. More times than not, that dog's been on that scent and that bird's ran out there that far, and that's why it brought the dog that far.
Right.
But now it's like, yeah, they're having fun. They're getting out there doing it. We're gonna get our bird. It's not a deal, and we're sure as heck not gonna starve to death.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely yeah. Yeah, you say you shocked. It's amazing. They get on a bird, and with the time trials, if they get out there too far, you can't shoot. You're gonna miss, or most times if you do miss, you only shoot once. I mean, you can shoot twice, but these dogs are so good. They chase them down. They'll fly off 2 fields away, and they'll come back with that bird. It's just amazing to watch them work. And there'll be times that you'll know that if a safety's called, or if you don't need that bird back, if he's birdie, yeah, you hit him with a 5 or a 7, it don't even phase him. It don't phase him. He just goes. He might just kind of tickled me a bit while I went, but he don't even know what he's done. They get birdied to that point, and all dogs are different, but they get to the point, and you can shock them, and it don't bother them. And then you'll accidentally shock them, and they'll squeak and holler like you've beaten them, or trying to torture them or something. It's just a matter of the adrenaline running through them.
Yeah, no, it's like to the point where they've combined the scent and the sight, so they've put it all together. Like, this is what I've been smelling, and I see it, and I still see it, and I know where it's going, and I can chase it and follow it exactly. Like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to. Dad wants bird, I see bird, and I'm going for it. Well, yeah, like you said, sometimes there's just no pulling them off of it. So
keep up, Dad, because here we go.
Exactly. Now and then, we've hunted with other people that have had non-lab dogs, like golden German short-haired. That's one German short-haired pointer. I always thought I wanted one, just because I thought they were the coolest dogs to hunt with. And like you had mentioned, Tim, I don't know if that was this episode or last episode, but they always had German short hairs growing up, and so we'd hunt the combo, their short hairs with our lab, and just watching them work together was always so fun. I think the one story I remember the most is, we were having a good day, we were out hunting, and we've hunted all together many times, and I'm sure there's tons of successful stories, but this one, it wasn't a bird, super successful bird story, but I remember we're looking for birds, and we get down into this kind of bull pit off to the side of the road, and his German shorthairs get on point. And I think that was Shaylee. Yeah, it had to have been Shaylee, because I was too young to hunt over Jake. But so it was Shaylee, and I think all 3 dogs finally found what the German shorthairs were on point on, and there was just a big bundle of grass, and so they're creeping out there doing the German shorthair creep, and it's super cool. It's like, all right, they're about to bust out, and lab runs through, and it's like, well, if there was a bird, something would have busted out by now. And they're still creeping up, and then next thing you know, there's like growling and getting after. It's like, what is going on? And I'm up right off the side of the road, and here comes this big old raccoon, like the biggest raccoon I have ever seen. And those dogs were on point on that raccoon, and they flushed it out. And the raccoon came right at me, and I remember being like, I don't know what to do. And I heard everybody go, shoot that thing, and it's like, okay. And well, the dogs were like, it was the safety thing. Okay, make sure the dog's out of the way. Boom. I think 3 or 4 of us put rounds into that raccoon, and we tumbled him once or twice. And I remember he still got up and took off. Like, that was the iron raccoon. I don't know how he survived, but that was one story I'll never forget while we were pheasant hunting. Of, those dogs are locked in, because they were really good German shorthairs. They held a point really well, and the labs would flush them really well. They worked well together. It's like, all right, this is perfect. They point, flush, boom. Well, there's no bird. Uh-oh, there's a big old raccoon. And pulling the dogs off the raccoon from chasing it. It was that was a fun story for me.
Yeah. You talk about Tim. He's had some tough luck with his dogs. They got that raccoon. I know that one of them, I think it was one of his first dogs, Hunter, got a skunk. There's been a handful of their dog, well, a couple of them anyway. And I know that their pup now just got into a porcupine.
Oh
And
no.
their whole face is just covered with quills.
Yeah, that's
So
a blessing and a curse of a German Shorthair is they have really, really strong noses and they're really good at, they stop on a dime when they smell it and they'll do the creep and the next thing you know, they're like you said, skunk, they creep right up into that spray and they just get blasted.
yeah. Yeah, definitely a different dog, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I guess we might have time for one more good pheasant story if you got one. Any big time pheasant stories? A favorite pheasant story that you don't have a mount for or something like that? I know there's so many and it's hard to pick one out, but
Yeah, get to a point. It's like I said, we got back a lot of many more. Well, I'm trying to think of that there was a stretch in my years of hunting that when I was playing ball, either college or professional, that I didn't get a chance to get out that much because we were either training or doing whatever during the off season. But I can there were many years. One year we had and it would have probably been back in the early mid '80s. We went back to Brandon, Nebraska, where your great grandfather lived, and we would always hunt. We would always hunt before, during the day of Christmas. After Santa Claus came, we were getting the guns and we were going and getting our birds.
yeah.
But we would always, in Nebraska, it was always the standing junk. I just heard it not too long ago. It's the best two times that there is to hunt Nebraska is on Saturday afternoons because the Huskers are on, or Sunday morning because everybody's in church. So you get a chance to go out and hunt just about anywhere you wanted to. And back to that, the early '80s, we had a good freeze, and there was probably a foot of snow, and all the birds, you could just see them. They weren't heavy enough to crust through the snow, but they'd just run. They'd just take off. And so we'd just creep up in the trucks, and they were all coming to the gravel roads to get their gravel for their crawl, and being able to, have that accessibility where there wasn't a drift of snow or frozen over, and you could just come over any little hill and creep over and not be too much of a hurry. And there could be a dozen pheasants down there, or there could be 100 pheasants over there.
That's
And
nice.
you just get out and you just go like heck. Back in the day, you just, put the pedal to the metal and get out, pull up on them and jump out of the truck and get to blasting away. And it was definitely road hunting at its finest. And, there are things that, there were a couple times you wonder, shoot, did I just put that thing in gear, or why is it going down the road? No, we're still out here. We're still out here. But it would be, it'd be 10 miles or 10 degrees below zero, and we're still out there going 40 mile an hour down a dirt road to jump out and kill a rooster. It's fun days.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they all have different ones and different things that you might or might not remember. But those were definitely the years that stick out more. So, obviously the ones that we have now, are special and fun, but like I said, they're fun for me to go, and we'll go out with, there's times that we'll be in South Dakota and we'll have 20 dogs and six hunters. Right. And I only have one dog. Carl's got 4 dogs. Dan Cathcart and Daryl come, and they've got anywhere between 6 and 10 each. So
right.
It's
fresh dogs every field.
Yeah, having a fresh dog isn't a deal. We're gonna get our birds. We're gonna have fun watching it, and they're gonna do really good together. And it's always a good event when we get out there.
Yeah, that's definitely unique. South Dakota's a whole different beast. I'd love to get out for a South Dakota pheasant hunt.
That's like going to Argentina dove hunting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's everywhere.
that's a whole nother episode in its own, dove hunting. That's one I don't even, you don't have mounts for doves, but I suppose you could, but just the pictures and the great 5-day hunt we had out there. That was unbelievable as well. But you
Yeah,
betcha.
I think the only other pheasant story, my very first wild pheasant was in Kansas, and I feel like we'd been trying for quite a while. We'd walked quite a few fields, and I don't even know if it was the first day. It might have been like a second day, third day. We were just like, we just couldn't find birds, and it was kind of a side mission. It was just us two. We are kind of just hoping, and we're walking, and this is with Shaylee, and I just remember finally, this one got up, and you had mentioned you guys have mounted pretty much everybody's first bird, and so we get up there, and it's like, all right, we really want to get Justin his first bird. Like I said, it's just us two. And we finally get up on one close enough. He flushes out and perfect, pulls up, boom, and I remember it just absolutely pillowed and like feathers everywhere, and it was like, well, I don't know how much of a mount we're going to get out of that bird. And so, I don't think I know we haven't ever gotten around to getting a pheasant mounted for me, but that first one turned into, we were paid so many compliments last episode to how well taxidermists do. And, I don't think there is a taxidermist in the world that could have brought back a pheasant that had been pillowed that hard. So,
Either that or a food processor, or a processor that can get all the BBs out of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've had
No,
my share.
I going into that, I had my fair share of misses too. So it wasn't like it was very first chance and I'm an all-star shot. It was just like miss, too far, didn't see it, whatever, wrong person. Okay, finally, here we go. Oh, it's like not even 10 yards and just flying straight away from me. Explodes. Well, shoot.
Yeah, try it again.
Yep. All right. Well, that was fun talking dogs and pheasant, and I think it was a good couple episodes to talk some uplands. So I'm sure there's gonna sometime by the time we get through all these stories and stuff like that, you'll have another few bird dog tournaments and maybe a couple stories come out of that. Give some updates on those, but maybe we spend a whole episode kind of diving deeper into that world too. But no, it was definitely fun to talk about that stuff. It's kind of a family favorite, like I said.
Right. Yeah, I'll be heading out Wednesday for a bird dog. We got nationals out there in Palmer, Kansas for between pre-nationals and I run those now, so I got to be there to set up and take down, and I'll head out Wednesday, and that'll last all the way through the following Saturday, and then we'll stick around and shoot some coyotes and fish for some big blue cats, and then we're heading down to Mississippi to try to chase down a few wild turkeys.
Yeah. Going for that slam. Got to get one checked off the list.
Yeah, I'll be on the road for the next 2.5, 3 weeks and catch up to you when we can. If we got time in the lodge or something, I can let you know. But
yeah, that'd be a fun one.
You bet.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys listening. What's that?
I said every day Saturday.
Oh yeah, that retired life. Must be nice. Well, appreciate the time, and it's always fun listening to the stories and catching up. So, appreciate you guys listening. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and definitely comment. Let us know what you think of these episodes, because we enjoy them, but definitely want to hear some feedback from the listeners. So,
you betcha. Get out in the field, do your own too.
Yep, exactly. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening.
All righty.